My name is Johnny Giangregorio. I'm the KWIP manager. Our mission is to develop the next generation of leaders. And today our panel is on the new generation of commercial real estate. So we called upon some of our members, some of our experts to lead us in this conversation. We have Kaylee Dunn, who's experienced the evolution of commercial real estate throughout the times when it was the good old boys club to where it's at right now. And we have Ethan Ash, who has fully adopted KW Command in his commercial business for a number of reasons. And we have Kellyanne Harris, who can give us a really unique perspective, not only as an OP, but as a small town representative who's leveraging things in the new normal. I started in commercial real estate in 2007, 2008 as an intern at Marcus & Millichap. It was a great company, but I couldn't help notice the culture of all of commercial real estate in general, so much so that when I got my license in 2009, I went in to residential real estate. Now, I understand that, Kaylee, I'd love to start with you, because you too were involved in the industry at that time. What's your take on what it was like then, and what are some of the ways you've seen it evolve?
Yes, so I'm Kaylee Dunn. I'm with Dunn Commercial Group in Nashville, Tennessee. I did start straight into commercial real estate in 2015, but when I was exploring my real estate career, I actually was told that commercial was a man's world, and unfortunately as a woman, I wouldn't make it. And my competitive spirit said, no, I'm going to try this out. So I joined an office of 8 guys who had 20 plus years experience each. And they had been in the business so long that they would just kind of sit around and wait for the phone to ring. And it worked for them because they've been around for a long time, but they didn't really have any lead generation tools or know really how to run the business. And so I did that for a year, and I was very fortunate to learn from all of them. But KW had seen that I was doing some good things, and so they recruited me over to start their commercial division in my office. And I was very fortunate. The timing was just perfect that it was Bold. And if y'all know, Bold is a very residential focused tool. However, it can be used for commercial. And I am so thankful I was able to learn to lead generate through that. And so my business just picked up like crazy. And about 6 months in, my husband, who worked at Dell Computers as a medium-sized business sales person, at the time I told him, I said, look, I've gotten so busy that either I hire an admin or you come and work with me. And he'll tell you he works for me, but he does work with me. So he came on, and he was very distraught the first week when he realized that I was using the paper system of tracking all of my clients. And so I would write down their name, and then I write as many little notes as I could next to it. And try to keep up with them that way. And it's kind of unfortunate seeing that first year and a half of how many people I probably lost in my system because I just couldn't keep up, and realizing how ineffective I really was. So coming from Dell, they used Salesforce, and we couldn't afford that at the time. So we started with Insightly, and then when we added on an admin, we realized, hey, we need to upgrade from there. So we currently use Top Producer. We do track all of our clients, but we also track residential agents, vendors, any type of referral partner. Honestly, anybody I meet and I can get a name and number, they're in my system, and I am following up with them on a minimum of every 3 months. So that's something that we incorporated. And then we also use Command for our paperwork and get that in there. But we have grown throughout the years, and as Dunn Commercial Group, we are known on social media with Facebook and LinkedIn. We do a lot of lunch and learns. I've probably taught over 30 lunch and learns to residential agents, vendors, referral partners, clients. It's a very basic commercial class, but we do that. And unfortunately, there's just not a lot of technology or really information out there for commercial agents. So we felt that this was a really good way to get that ball rolling. And through Family Reunion 2018, I met a really great person through there, Catherine Olmstead. She's in Atlanta, and we decided to start the KW Commercial Women's Council. And so starting May 2018 until now, we meet every week. And on a conference call, which has been wonderful. We meet for 30 minutes and we talk about all different topics, but it is women only because unfortunately, even though that it has evolved, there still is that challenge for women in commercial real estate, and we do face different issues. So that's been really great to be able to be a part of that and really get that going.
That totally makes sense. And thank you for sharing your journey with us. Is there anything about the old ways, the more like belly to belly, face to face, that's still really involved in your business?
Absolutely. I really feel like commercial real estate is a relationship business. And so still having those face to faces, the pop bys, the phone calls, I mean, all of that is still very important. However, you do have to evolve with that. We're very big in our Chamber of Commerce, and we do all of their events, and we do several ribbon cuttings. And so that's an amazing way that you can meet people, you can meet business owners. Maybe you didn't get them the space, but you can talk to them about expansion or maybe a couple of years down the line of them moving locations. But also it's an awesome opportunity to get a picture photo op, and then you put it on social media. Everybody thinks you brought them to town, and then you tag all the people that were there, and it's an easy top of mind thing. So I think that the old ways are great as well, but just moving them and revitalizing them to the new technology and embracing that can just take you to a lot of new heights.
That makes sense. And Ethan, Kaylee touched upon a CRM system. It's my understanding that you fully transitioned your entire system into KW Command. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We have moved over to Command probably 3 months ago to really fully adopting it and using it not only just for kind of the deals and stuff like that, but putting all our contacts in there, working the smart plans, starting to do campaigns and all of the, at least we haven't gone into every single part of Command. There's new tools being offered like every single day. So it's always, something you got to keep track of. But yeah, we're embracing it because, I have on our team, I work for the Coastal Land and Commercial Group here in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And, I have 2 admins and a showing assistant. And in order to keep track of everything and make sure we're all on the same page and making sure that, the people in our database are being touched on a regular basis, we need to have a tracking system that we're all on. And, we've been, leaning into this program because one's given to all of us, part of our, our fees that we pay to KW, and it works. It works for our team. No CRM is perfect, but if you start working your CRM, it does serve huge benefits to everyone. And now we know how many people we're working with, how many deals we're on, and keeping track of our financials for the whole year. It is, some of these tools are, immensely powerful in keeping us on track and keeping us on, on our goals for the team. So, go ahead, Darren.
If I could jump in and just ask a quick question about that. You mentioned that all your team being on the same page. So does that mean when you move over to Command that you all have access, you're able to see the transaction when you go to log into your individual command? It's set up like a team?
Yep, exactly. So, we have you have your own page and you can look at your dashboard and see what deals you're working on. Then you can look at the team's level and just see how many deals we're all working on and, how many contacts we have in our system and how often they're being contacted. And if there is communication, so if one of my assistants sends out an email, I'm seeing that connected into my feed, and I know that, hey, that so-and-so sent him an email with this brochure, which was a property we thought they would be a really good fit for. And, then I'm able to do a follow-up just saying, hey, I think, my assistant, I think, reached out to you and showed you this opportunity. Have you had a chance to take a look at it? And it just makes that, these cold calls really not cold calls. They're warm calls, and we're, having a specific purpose of what the conversation is all about. So, it is a powerful tool. And again, every single day we get onto it and see the new things that smart plans offer and the new things that campaigns offer. It's given us a whole lot of, leverage in the ability to talk to a whole lot more people and put a lot more opportunities through the pipeline.
Is there anything else you're doing in this modern day and age that is a bit different? Maybe social media?
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, when you talk with, Kaylee talked about it's still belly to belly kind of, you have to be out there networking, talking to people. A huge part of my business is, referral based business from residential agents, and residential real estate has absolutely adopted Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, I'm on all of those platforms, making sure I'm putting posts, putting my listings, bringing information there, recognizing that, LinkedIn's probably the only one that I think my clients are very much looking at my listings and being really engaged on it. But to be on top of mind for residential agents is, again, a huge part of my business. The referral aspect of again, part of Command and everything, just like keeping track of all those opportunities. I'm lucky to have a pretty good connection with a lot of residential agents, and I probably pick up 2 referrals a week just from residential agents. And I know a lot of them I'm getting top of mind on being on the social media, because they'll mention, seeing a picture of my dog or me hiking or something about, 1031 exchanges or self-directed IRAs, which when I start going into that world, I mean, Kellyanne and Kaylee may, agree, like they'll know what I'm talking about, but it kind of lets residential agents know that, oh, there's a lot more involved in commercial. And if I have someone that would fit in that need, I should probably find the expert in our market center and get that connection, because, it serves everyone much better. So, social media is a important part of, the new culture that we're kind of seeing here of, if in the, when we talk about the good old boys club, let's just say that the average age of a commercial agent is 68. They probably haven't fully adopted social media yet. But that doesn't mean that it's not coming. It doesn't mean that, the new agents are not going to have to adopt that way of communicating with people. And I think, especially now that we have Command and are able to track the insights and keep our leads coming right through the social media platforms, it is much easier to keep organized than it was even, a year ago.
Now, Ethan, you mentioned self-directed IRA, which reminds me of wealth building. And I'd love to loop you into this conversation, Kellyanne, because you're an OP, and OPs do help not only agents, recruits, so many people wealth build. I know that's something you're doing. Tell us about how you got started in commercial real estate. What is it like doing it in a small town, and how you're leveraging some of the technology we have in this modern era to teach wealth building?
Okay. So commercial real estate, I am from a small town, Owensboro, Kentucky, and we've got about 60,000 people in the city and 40,000 in the county. And being a top residential agent, 3 years into the business, I was the #1 agent in my town. Commercial just started kind of falling into my lap. One, because I was the top agent, and in a small town, it's hard to make a living just off commercial. So my clients, my sphere of influence and the referrals, it just was coming to me because I was working with so many people in the community that also owned businesses that needed commercial space. And so that's kind of how I got into commercial. And then I also started into commercial investments as well, and then started managing my own properties, which led to managing my clients' properties and having a large property management company with the brokerage as well. And then being an OP and having agents that I am responsible to teach them wealth building and the map and the roadmap that I have gone on, I started teaching wealth building in my community through Zoom, especially during COVID, and just teaching how do you get involved in buying your first rental property, your first multi-unit family property, and then your first commercial investment. And then that has just led into investors reaching out to me or people wanting to become an investor asking me if I would teach them. So always trying to kill two birds with one stone. I started teaching wealth building online. I have a business, small business mastermind page where I teach it there. I taught during COVID, like whenever we were applying for the PPP, I just told myself I was going to be the expert with all my clients on the PPP loan. And so I got on call after call with my accountant or whoever, or the president of our local bank that I use, and learned about it. And then I taught it to those business owners just as extra touches. And then through that, I've got agents, recruits through other markets around me, or the 2 market centers in Kentucky that I have, just the surrounding counties started to log in on my Zooms on teaching that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I've leveraged myself and gotten out there to make sure that I stay the expert. And even though I might, right now with commercial in our town, it's kind of slowed down a little bit. I feel like next year it's going to pick back up. And at least I was that person that helped them through this crisis of making sure that they got what they needed to keep their business going. So.
There's a saying that if you want to learn something at a really high level, teach it. Mm-hmm. Now, it sounds like there is a common thread between each of you. Would you say that the commercial real estate agent in this modern era is really an educator?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Kaylee and Ethan, anything you'd like to add on the education component?
Yeah, I mean, again, I work on a monthly basis, do a real estate investor seminar, and it is something that is really valuable not only to our clients and people who are kind of entering into investment, but also helping educate residential agents who can have those connections of those people and maybe start doing some small 2 to 4 families and do those types of deals. And if they do a good job and those investors make money, they usually get into bigger and better things. And that's usually when it comes into, a different scope, and usually a commercial broker is usually able to help them find those opportunities.
So I would agree with that. And I think as well, I know our education with our lunch and learns and everything that we've done in the past, it helps so much because there's just not a lot of information on commercial real estate. So even if you can just get in your market center and just teach a little bit, usually 2 things happen if you do that. One, either you're going to get residential agents who do not want to touch commercial real estate and they will refer it to you. Otherwise, you may get somebody who does want to learn commercial real estate, and that could be somebody who's maybe a good partner for your team. I started a commercial mentor program, and so that's been great to almost be alongside of people, because I've got one girl who she only wants to focus on assisted living homes. I've got another who's a property manager and kind of figuring out how commercial goes into that. So you may find that people are interested in it, but they just have no clue how to even get started. And I do think if you're willing to give to people, you're going to get way more back in return. I love teaching personally. It just gives me so much joy and being able to help other people, because your next step is CCIM, and that's very expensive. And, I think we can help each other before that point to make sure people are even interested in commercial real estate.
Now, you mentioned there's not a ton of information out there, and Gary talks about data all the time. It even says data is the new oil. Tell us a little bit more about that. How are you guys seeing data show up in the commercial industry? And it sounds like there's just not a ton of information out there. Or maybe there's only a couple big entities that have access to it.
The best part and the worst part about commercial real estate is there isn't a whole lot of data, so it's really hard to kind of enter the market. It's not like the MLS where everyone has put their listings on a single platform. So there are very few companies out there that have data. I think the one that most commercial agents are familiar with is CoStar. And anyone who has to work with CoStar to get that kind of information knows how expensive it is and how difficult it is. And depending on the market you're in, how reliable the information is. I mean, I'm in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We're a town of 30,000. I think Kellyanne's in a small place, small location as well. So we find that data is probably not the most reliable. And it's really expensive. So, I mean, I think the one reason we moved over to Command and started to keep track of our own kind of information is, that data and being able to decipher that and then be able to easily communicate that information to other people, whether it's other agents, to our clients, to potential tenants. Like, that is really where our value comes into play. So I think controlling that data is going to be a huge part of what's going to happen in the commercial world moving forward. Just because there's a lot of money in commercial real estate, and that data is extremely valuable. But we are far behind in the fact that we don't have this uniform place where all the information is being put in there, and it's up for us to have the connections not only with people who are other agents or brokers who are doing transactions, but with landlords, with appraisers, with developers. We need to have those types of conversations, and to find out, hey, what are properties selling for, leasing for, in a given market, in a given product type or industry.
That makes sense. And recently I've noticed, I'm also a commercial investor, and I recently sold a property in Memphis. And now on my Instagram and Facebook, I'm getting all these advertisements for Memphis Invest, and you should be investing in more commercial real estate. Are you guys seeing that Facebook advertisement, that's a big wave right now and in a wave of the future within commercial real estate?
I think that we can make it a bigger wave. I feel like that's something that the industry is still lacking because of the average age of the commercial agent. So I really think, I know I've pushed out in my local community a lot of Facebook and that kind of, because I'm trying to because that's where my client is. I don't think anyone else takes advantage of it like I do in my town. So I think that there's a huge opportunity for us to push that, because it is still the old-fashioned way of sending the mass emails and, LoopNet or CoStar. It's not the social media push, but if everybody's online to purchase a home and we're pushing the residential agent to use social media, I don't see why we can't push the commercial consumer through that. And I think
that completely makes, yeah.
Was it Ethan that talked about LinkedIn?
Well, I was just going to actually loop in Kaylee. So Kaylee, how are you seeing, Kellyanne just mentioned that all of our people are online, or all of our clients are online. How are you leveraging something like LinkedIn or other social media forums to actually prospect or lead generate?
LinkedIn quite a bit. I do post on there, but mainly I use it to actually engage individually. So I learned a couple years ago at a KW Commercial Summit that if anybody adds you as a friend and you have, or as a follower or whatever they're called on LinkedIn, when they add you, if you don't know them, you still accept them because you're not putting anything personal on LinkedIn, you're putting business on there. But when you accept them, send them a message and say, thank you for connecting with me. What made you want to connect? And I would say at least 70% of the time I get some form of response. And so that's been really big. I've gotten several people off there that say, I'm an investor in your area. I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. Hey, I have a business in your area. And so from there, I'll respond to whatever they had sent me, but I'll also even say, do you have a Facebook business page? If so, I'm happy to like it for you. Can you also like our page? And that's been huge as well, because then I'm not only connecting with them on LinkedIn, but also on Facebook. And on the Facebook, I use it more on the personal side of things. Ethan had mentioned that he puts his dog and his hiking on there. We use our tagline, which is committed to community. We use that like crazy, and we go to all of the events. We try to push out anything that's happening in the community. And it's amazing the top of mind that you get by doing those things. Residential agents all the time are like, I see you everywhere. And then they'll call me and say, hey, how was your camping trip last weekend? And I just put like little things on there that have to already do with my life. And I know there's people that like put their food post on there, and that's just something that's just little for people to remember you when they have a commercial lead, or they have a residential agent who needs something. They can easily say, oh yeah, that girl goes camping. Let me find her real quick and send her a referral. So I think that if you use these social media platforms towards what your actual personality and hobbies are, it just makes it even better. And unfortunately, in commercial real estate, it hasn't been that way for so long, that this is kind of making you unique and able to be out there in different ways.
So it sounds like the industry is evolving in a number of different ways right now. In regards to leadership, I know we opened up the conversation talking about the way that the industry used to be. And Keller Williams is actually running task forces to move the bar in training, growth, technology. What other ways can commercial leaders be part of the change that they would like to see?
So I would say, personally for me, I would say getting involved in your local chamber of commerce. We're ambassadors. And so that's an awesome way. Rotary, any type of nonprofit organization that you can be in, I think is really big. But just in like KW commercial, you just start it. Just start what you're wanting to see. I mean, there's several conference calls that you can be on, a lot of Zoom things. Reach out to your regional people, get on these CLC and these task force. If you want to be a part of the change, I think you have to take the initiative to be part of the change.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that I'm most, proud of what's going on in the commercial world is this cultural change of being a place of not sharing to a place of sharing. And because more information is becoming available, like it doesn't feel, you want to help people out, and you can recognize that the KW commercial world is, it's a big world, and you can have a lot of great connections from across the country to help make deals happen and make those deals make sense. So, just being a place where not only you're connecting with the other commercial agents all over the country, but also just being that person in the office that people can trust on to not only be knowledgeable about what commercial deals are going on, but also just be nice. I think that's one thing that if you went through and just go like, I know a lot of commercial agents, there's not nice people. And I think that is something that we can control on a daily basis of just going, if you're going to send a referral over to me, maybe I have helped them, maybe I'm unable to help them, but they just want to be treated, right and respected and treated like a valuable person. And that's what I think most people are usually reluctant to hand over those types of connections, and people take on projects they're really not capable on because they don't know someone who they could pass a deal off to and just know that, hey, that person's actually going to be treated well.
Ethan, as you were talking, both Kaylee and Kellyanne were nodding, saying they fully agree with it's now a time to be really nice in this industry. Anything you guys would like to say about that, and then would love closing remarks from each of you.
Yeah, I think that I agree with that. I know when I first got in the industry, I felt like commercial agents weren't very pleasant to do deals with, especially being a new agent. So I think that is one thing I feel like has set me apart, especially in our community, is being open, like telling, no matter if it's a residential agent or what, like everything I know, because most of the time they are going to refer the deal to you because they don't understand, or once they get into it, they need like a partner through that transaction. And I think a lot of times the commercial agent got a bad rap because of maybe what was already had happened for years of how commercial agents treated residential agents. And because for some reason, there's just a little bit more of a chip on the shoulder for the commercial agent than the residential agent. And so if we can bridge that gap and help the residential agents understand or be their partner or co-op it with them, just doing something to to help. I think it will help your business in turn, 'cause more than likely they're going to refer that transaction to you.
So it sounds like you're even going the extra mile, not only being nice, but you know that the way that it used to be. So you're being extra nice to help change the whole culture of the industry.
Yeah, because you need to get your deal to the table, right? And so it's just like in any other transaction. It's let's get the deal to the table so that we all win.
And that ultimately ends up upholding your fiduciary responsibility to your client as well. That's incredible. How about you, Kaylee?
Oh yeah, I think extra being nice, going above and beyond all the time, not just with your clients, not just with residential agents, with your vendors. Just if you go the extra step and yes, be kind, be nice, figure out the best way to present it. I think you're all going to win in the end. And it may not be this transaction, it may be years down the road, but we're seeing that big time in our business right now of clients who bought property from us when we represented the seller, and they're contacting us to buy other properties for them because they like the way that we represented the seller and they don't want to be on the other side of the transaction again. So it's just doing the right things and being kind, being helpful from the beginning, and it will go a long way.
Amazing. And Ethan, any other closing remarks you'd like to add in?
I mean, I would just say that, as much as it's challenging to see when you're in it day to day, but the market is changing. The commercial market, especially, I think we have seen how residential is being affected by controlling your leads, controlling your data, how that is a real battle. And that's one that Gary is taking on, head on to hopefully empower the agent instead of empowering the tech. And it's going to happen, and commercial is behind the 8 ball. We are behind the game, but it is going to happen. It's inevitable. I think the thing that we need to understand and hopefully embrace is, again, kind of changing the culture of just, hey, you can't just be the agent who knows the people. You have to be a nice person who gets along with others. You have to be knowledgeable, taking advantage of the education that is available to let's say, KW commercial agents through like the LIPSI training, master and commercial properties. We talked about CCIM. Like, I think it is going to be knowledgeable about being in the market and then embracing the technology, because, again, I would say most commercial agents are still dependent on getting pen on paper to get a contract done or to get an offer in hand. And the technology is coming. It's what the consumer wants. And the people who embrace those three things, I think, have a huge leg up on the rest of the market. And we are lucky to be part of the Keller Williams family, which is just so large and have a commission structure that allows us to be far more profitable than other commercial agents at other brokerage firms. So I think there is going to be a change in how things are being done. It's tough to see it now, but I think it's coming. And I think embracing those three things will be vastly important for their success.
Well, Ethan, Kaylee, Kellyanne, I could say on behalf of KWRI, we feel lucky to be in business with each of you guys. You're truly the type of change that needs to happen in that industry. And I think this panel will provide a lot of hope and a lot of light into an industry that was dark for a number of years, and kind of that good old boys club. So thank you so much for being on this panel today, and looking forward to watching each of your careers.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Thank you.